Hi everyone, it's Mr. Spinelli, and as we prepare for our final revisions of The Defining Moment, I wanted to go over again the kind of elements or the ingredients of a successful conclusion. Excuse me. I think overall you guys have done a really nice job of um, working on the elements that we've talked about. And remember, the whole purpose of a conclusion, we've got three main purposes. One is to give your story a sense of completeness or closure. You want your story to have an ending. You want it to feel complete and that there's a closure and we can move on from the story, just like the narrator has. If you think of, like, for example, the bridge between verses, the narrator discusses how she and her brother's relationship has changed because of that one conversation. Reflect on what you have learned. I think back to How to Boost an Ego. And I think, to go with this, leave your readers thinking about your story or theme. In both of these cases, the writers talk about what they've learned from their experiences and how they've changed as a result of the turning point in their own stories. So I want to show you a couple examples, and I had a lot to choose from, which is always a good problem to have, of some conclusions that kids have written so far, and how they hit at all three of these bullet points. So the first one is from Kaylee Fitzpatrick, and she talks about the story is about getting working for a charity around the holidays. And she says, the home was so unfamiliar to us and smelled of pine from the wreath on the door. There were many people with volunteer name tags on, and we faintly heard forks and knives clinking on plates in other rooms. We had counted up the cans the day before, and there was almost 50 in all. We were all so surprised at how many there were, and so were the volunteers. Wow, I'm impressed, says one of them, looking up at how much food we brought in. We don't usually get this much from young girls. The other volunteers agreed and showed the people that the food is for all the cans, and their faces lit up. Seeing them this happy and thankful made me feel pretty good about myself and what I had done. I noticed some of the other girls admiring how much joy was in the people's faces. And then I realized what our troop leader was talking about when she said that we all get a quote-unquote prize. We all received the gift of happiness knowing that we made other people happy. Kaylee's done a great job here without even saying, I learned that, by just showing us her reaction to the gratefulness of the gifts that she's provided, and what that means for everybody else as well. The next one is from Caroline Stanton, and she says, you may fight and yell and disagree, but when they leave you, you will miss them. You will find yourself counting the days until they come back, and you will wish they were still sitting next to you. You will wish you could have someone to push in the swing or play catch with. The day they come back is all you ever wished for. You are so jumpy and enthusiastic, and they just won't understand because they couldn't see you during that week, and they couldn't see how lonely you were. Without them, you might be all right for a week. You might be slightly off, or in my case, not just slightly off. That one little person is like the other half of me, and I didn't realize how much of me was missing until she left. We may be 4 years apart and different in many ways, but together we accomplish the strangest things, laugh about the most random things, and find many creative games. We are a very special pairing in our own way, that is daring, brave, completely insane, and most people would say that together we are not just slightly off. So Caroline's describing a moment when she realized how much she enjoyed her sister, and how much she actually missed her when she was gone. And what I like about this is that by showing us her inner thoughts here, Caroline is showing us what she took away from this experience and how it's changed her relationship with her sister and what she's learned from it. And I think the repetition here, much like in Bridge Between Verses, is really effective to emphasize what she's learned. This is from Bridget's. Did you win first? An eager third or fourth graders asked me. Not this year, I replied, trying to put my best smile on I could do at the moment. I had to get out of here. I quickly pulled my backpack from the mountain of LL Bean backpacks with the kids' initials. As I walked past the rock with the giant happy face on it, an abundance of great jobs erupted out of the crowd. I had a real smile on this time. I spotted my crazy family, my grandparents, my aunt. They were all happy for me, even though I didn't win first. I thought as I passed many people patting me on the back and congratulating me. Maybe I did do good. I did pretty good with the pressure of 3 grades on my back at least. I had tried my best, and if my best was second place, then so be it. This is a really interesting conclusion for me because what Bridget's starting to do here is she's showing us within her inner thought, this inner dialogue that's going on right in this section, that she's surprised that people are okay with her finishing there. um, and the whole story is about her expecting to win and only coming in, not coming in first. And I think what Bridget's done a good job of here is describing the reaction of her family and then how it also affected her to see that. And as a result, how did she change from that moment? And the last one is Shay. After all the rides we went on that day were not as bad as Bizarro. I was so scared of nothing. I had the best time on Bizarro that I would go back on it any time I had the chance to. I let my butterflies get to my head and told me I was scared. But I learned that day to never let butterflies stop you from doing things you want to do. Also, never judge a book by its cover. But in that case, never judge a roller coaster by its screams. I love the play on words here of never judge the roller coaster by its screams. I think it's a really smart decision. I think overall, Shay has done a really nice job of setting up the story. She's the whole way through the story. If you have a chance to read hers, she explains how nervous she was, and she hits the turning point, and she realizes it's not that bad after all. And here she's letting us into her thoughts and showing us this is how I was before, and this is how I've changed because of this. So, as a writer yourself, when you're thinking about conclusions, ask yourself these questions. How does my story end? Does it end with the character returning home? Does it end with a last place finish? Does it end with winning the game or losing the game? What have I learned? How have I changed? In the case of my story, for example, I learned not to be so arrogant, and I learned that I've changed because it makes me a better referee and a better person because I just focus on doing my best job every time. What do I want my readers to remember about my story? And this is where the conclusion is so important because you want them to remember something specific and you want them to remember something like a lesson they can take away. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and I look forward to reading your conclusion.